right here, right in this moment. And that, I am telling you, that changed everything in my life. At that moment, I realized that I could go out anytime, and if I talk to enough property owners, I can find opportunities. And that's when I crossed the bridge that I talk about, from faith to it being a fact that I could do this business. Every real estate investor and wholesaler starts with their first deal. And that's why I'm so excited about this deal breakdown, because we're going to time travel. We're going to time travel to 2013 and break down the very first deal that I did. What I want you to get from this video is that you don't need to have budget. You don't have to have experience. You can go out there and you can just have conversations, quality conversations with property owners and find opportunities. But this one was tough. I'm going to be absolutely brutally honest with you, because I parked my car right here. Remember, at the time, I did not have any budget for marketing. All right. I was so far in debt. I owed $740,000 on a judgment. I was like barely keeping my head above water, but I knew that I had to do something. I couldn't just sit around and hope something happened for me. I had to get out into the streets. So what I did is I door knocked this entire neighborhood. I would go to I went to every single house here, and I knocked on their door, and I said, I know that this is kind of out of the blue, but I wanted to see if you had thought about selling your property or would consider an offer on your property. And it was like, no, slam. No. And a lot of people, to be honest, were very, very, very kind. They weren't like very mean. I was very approachable. I wasn't very aggressive. You know, I would knock on the door, and I'd stand a couple feet away with my back turned to the door, kind of slanted so that they could see me and looking at the neighborhood, so I wasn't so intimidating. And finally, after all these people told me no, I knocked on that door right there. This gal, the owner of this property, answered the door, and I went through it, and I asked her if she would consider an offer. She said, I've lived here for a long time. I never want to sell. I love this neighborhood. My kids grew up in this house. I never want to sell, but I am the caretaker for a property right here. And she said, the property is vacant. They just have a bunch of their stuff in it. They actually moved back to New York. They live in New York. They don't want the property anymore, but they're not really sure what to do with it. Let me go inside. Let me call the owner of this property and see if I can get permission to give you her phone number. And she came out with the paper and the name and the number, and I was holding it in my hand like it was a golden ticket, and I was like, oh my gosh, this could be it. This could be it. My hand was all sweaty because it was like 1,000,000,000 degrees outside. And I was like, okay. And I called her right away. And I got in touch with her, and I was asking her, you know, what are her plans for the property? Would she consider a cash offer? And she said yes. And I said, well, what would you want for the property? And she said, I'm not sure. And I said, and I just threw something out. And I was like, well, you know, would you take something around, you know, 130 to 150,000? Just throwing something out. I knew that the values in this neighborhood were high, or going to be high, and it was a really popular area. And she was like, you know what? I can't do 130, but I can do 150. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. This is bananas right here. Look at this. What? $150,000 right there. Look at this. Look at this. 2013. Right there. That's the start. That is the start of all of this. That's the start of my real estate journey. It started to finally turn around. And well, I thought, and I was like, okay, great. I've got this now. I need to find a buyer for it. And so I approached an investor that I knew, and I said, hey, listen, if I can bring you this deal, would you pay me 3%? Because remember, I've had my real estate license since 2004. I thought that if I could go find deals and get 3% on them, life would be fantastic. I could literally like print money. And I did, and it was like 150. Yeah, I'll take it. I'll give you 3%, no problem. Well, the interesting thing is, when we go to close, he's not on the closing, on the settlement statement. He at the bottom of the settlement statement was something that I had never seen before in a lot of in any property that I had reviewed, any closing that I had reviewed. I had never seen something called an assignment fee, and it was for $30,000. And I was like, what is this? And I asked him, and I said, wait, are you not buying this property? He goes, no, I sold it. And I said, how do you sell something? You haven't even closed on it. And he said, no, I sold the contract for $30,000. And I was like, what? You can sell the contract? And that's when it was like a lightning bolt went off in my head. Not quite. I still did 2 more deals with them, and I lost out on $92,000 in assignment fees and just earned 3% on my first 3 deals. But this was the start. Was just going out and being proactive. And I knew as soon as this gal gave me the phone number, that's what I needed. If I had the name, phone number, and address, I would be unstoppable. And that's what exploded my real estate business. So I want to go out into the streets. I want to show you this neighborhood because it is going absolutely crazy. Look at this. In 3 short years, 2016 here, it sold for $558. It's probably worth $800,000 right now. In 3 years, it went from $150 to $558. I wonder why people like investing in Phoenix real estate, because of explosive appreciation. That's why. But let's hit the streets, and I'm going to show you what this property looks like now, and I'm going to show you the neighborhood, and it's going to be fun. So. This is it. This is the actual street in the neighborhood that I knocked to get my first wholesale deal. And it's like bringing back a lot of memories because look, you've got older properties that were built in the 50s and the 60s right next to brand new properties. I mean, that's what's so exciting about this business is you can literally like change the landscape of what the neighborhood looks like and what it feels like. And it's almost like the next generation, the new younger families are buying these properties and they're starting their own traditions in here. And it all starts with wholesalers going out there, you going out there and talking and having a quality conversation with a distressed property owner and selling it to a cash buyer that's going to do something magnificent, something that's just absolutely beautiful. I feel weird. I feel excited. It's different. It's cool. So 8 years ago, just over 8 years ago, I parked my beat up Lexus sleeping in the backseat of my beat up car down the street over there, and I walked this entire neighborhood and knocked on every single door. No leads, literally no leads until I knocked on this door right here. This wonderful woman, she had, and I remember it vividly, I knocked on the door and I was hopeful because she had a screen door and her front door was open. So I said hello and she came out and she was standing behind the screen door and we were talking, and there it is. There's the screen door. And her door is still open. Her door is still open. Oh my gosh. Oh God, that's so incredible. Oh my gosh. So yeah, and she went in, she gave me the slip of paper, and I called up the owner. I remember I was standing right there. Look at that. Right there. I was standing in front of this house because I remember it had like a makeshift little carport here. I was standing right there, and I called the owner as I was walking over, and this is the property. Now it looks fantastic. Now it looks gorgeous. Now it's like the American dream house, right? With the white picket fence and the American flag. But at the time, it was really in rough condition, and I had the conversation, and she told me that $150,000 would work for her right here, right in this moment. And that, I am telling you, that changed everything in my life. At that moment, I realized that I could go out anytime, and if I talk to enough property owners, I can find opportunities. And that's when I crossed the bridge that I talk about, from faith to it being a fact that I could do this business, and it literally changed my life. Like it's kind of weird what's going on in my brain right now, because like I'm thinking about where I was 8 years ago on this spot, and life has just totally been incredible. The journey has been absolutely incredible, And I couldn't have done it if I didn't have the courage to go out there and try to talk to strangers and ask them if they would consider an offer on their property. And I'm telling you, anybody can do this. I don't care who you are, anybody can do this. You can do this if you just go out there and you have a conversation. Now you don't have to knock on doors. Now they have skip tracing services. You can get the address, name, phone number of the properties that you're trying to get a hold of. So I just want to encourage everybody that has that fire in their belly to be a real estate entrepreneur to pick up the phone and to take action and to really make a difference. I mean, this whole street was filled with older properties, and now it's like half older, half new, and it's like the changing of the guard. You know, people are passing the baton from the generations before to the new generations of families that live here, and it's wildly rewarding to see it. It's wildly rewarding. So, but I'm telling you, it just takes that courage to be able to do it, and I believe in you, and I want to give you all the tools and resources that you need so that you can be as successful as possible, but you got to take the action. You got to be the one that picks up the phone and has a quality conversation with a distressed property owner, and if you do it, you will win. You will win. That's for sure. Film this real quick. That house right there, I ring the doorbell and this I hear a shriek, and she was like, I just put the twins to bed. Oh, and you hear the crying, and I was like, oh no, I felt terrible.